Hey everyone! So today I'm going to be showing you how to set up a library sign-in using Google Forms. So the first thing you'll want to do is hop on Google Drive on whatever account you want to use to manage your library sign-in. And then you're going to click on the new icon in the top left here. And you're going to want to hover over More and select Google Forms. And you're going to want to title your form. We just call ours Library Sign-In. If you feel that your students will need any kind of prompting or explanation, you can add in a form description. We don't really do that at Overton. Then the first field, where it says Untitled Question, you're going to type in first and last name, or whatever you want to be the first field. We emphasize and because sometimes students want to just do their first or last name. So then in the bottom right of each question, you're going to want to make sure to select required so that the students will be forced to have an answer for each section. Then the next thing we ask for at Overton is the student ID number, and we just do that so that students are forced to provide something that we can cross-reference with their name, just because sometimes they'll either type their name in incompletely or incorrectly, and so it's nice to kind of have two things we can look at. And here you'll see where it says number is number. That just means that Google's going to make sure that what they type in this field is a number, so that's kind of a nice fail-safe. And again, we're going to make that question required. And we do your teacher's last name as the next field, and that's the teacher they have in class currently, whoever wrote them a note to come to the library. And then the last field we have at Overton is, why are you visiting the library today? And we let them answer this in multiple choice format. So we provide some potential reasons that they might be visiting the library that are most common, and then we do enable the other field. So for example, we have to use a computer or print, to read, to return or check out books, and to work on homework or study quietly. And then we can just click on Add Other if you want to give them the option to add something else in. And if they select Other, it does force them to say what that other is. So that may be something you have to explain to your kids as they sign in. Then we'll make that required, and that is all the questions that we asked for, but obviously you can customize based on your needs at your school. Then up in the top, just a few features that I'll point out. You can choose a header. There are all sorts of different themes you can play around with. I like this one, just kind of a school reading focused one. Kind of makes it a little fun. You can play around with your theme color, your background color, your font, all sorts of things like that. The preview, this little eyeball, that will show you what it's going to look like from the student end. So I always like to look at that once before publishing just to make sure it looks how I want it to. And then the settings, there are all sorts of different settings you can use with Google Forms. This right here, it'll say your response has been recorded, and then you want to make sure this is checked, this box right here, where it says show link to submit another response, because after one student submits their sign-in, you're going to need the next student to be able to click on that to start over and submit their sign-in. So we'll click on Save. Once you have everything looking the way that you want it to, then you will click on Send and do the little hyperlink option. And this is the link that you're going to want to put on your devices that you're going to use for sign-in. So that might be laptops, iPads, Chromebooks, whatever device you have. You can shorten the URL, or you may want to use something like tinyURL to create a custom URL for it. What we've done is on our sign-in iPads, we've just bookmarked this link to the home screen so that it's always there for us when we open up the sign-in iPads in the morning. So that's how you're going to access your form. And I'm going to take just a second to pause and create some fake responses so that you can see what it'll look like on the back end as students sign in. Alright, so as responses come in from students as they're signing in, you'll notice another column appears here in your form, and that says responses. So if you click on that, you'll see the different students who have signed into the library. And you will want to go ahead and export that into a spreadsheet by clicking on the Create Spreadsheet icon. And you can customize the name. We just leave it as is so we can easily tell what it is. And then you'll click on Create. And as you can see, I'll have to allow the pop-up on my computer, so you may come across that as well. And this is the spreadsheet that shows me who has signed into the library. So as you can see, all of the fields on the form are present, plus at the far left they've added a timestamps field, which is super helpful. And so you can see how each student has filled in all the fields. These are the pre-selected options, and then someone filled in other, and it shows what they said. So what we do with this form is we then share the link to this spreadsheet, not the form, with our teachers so that teachers can see as students come into the library, they can make sure students made it. They can double check that students made it on time. We find that that's a super helpful tool with teachers. If they're sending lots of students, they can kind of keep an eye out and make sure that they all make it. So you're going to want to make sure to set it where anyone with the link can view, not can edit, because you don't want anybody to accidentally delete anything or change anything. And then you'll click on Done. And what we like to do is we like to have a sheet for each day. So down at the bottom where it says Form Responses 1, we would change that to today's date. And then just have all of today's responses populate here. So if you want to do it like this as well, where you have a new sheet for each day, the way that you do that is at the end of the day, after there will be no more sign-ins for that day, or the next morning when you're ready to start a fresh sheet, you go back over to your form and you're going to want to delete all responses, and it'll give you this little message. Click on OK. Then you're going to want to click on the 3 dots here and say Select Response Destination and select Existing Spreadsheet, and then choose the spreadsheet that you already created. And it'll do this little message in the bottom left where it'll say Spreadsheet Linked. And then when you click on your spreadsheet, you'll notice that, so here's today's date. Then you've got a brand new blank sheet for tomorrow. So you can go ahead and rename that for the next date. So that way we keep it active. We keep several days active at a time, and eventually go through and delete some sheets as they get older. But that way teachers can check on somebody from earlier in the week if they want to, and we still have those records. We also use this to keep up with statistics and see how many students are coming each day, which teachers are sending students, and in what volumes, things like that. I also like to have the data about why students are visiting the library and how many we're getting, to work on homework together and how many are coming to use computers. So lots of super helpful information and data. Doing it this way with the sheet for each day keeps the spreadsheet link consistent. So if you are going to use this with your faculty and staff and share the link, you'll want to make sure to do that so that way you don't have a new spreadsheet for every single day, and anytime they go to that link, it'll still take them to the right place. So this has really been a great thing for us at Overton, and it's helped us kind of keep track of lots of different pieces of information. It helps us to make sure students are actually have permission to come to the library. All we have to do is cross-reference with Infinite Campus, and we can see if they've been marked absent in a period where they came to the library, and we do share that information when we catch it with teachers so that they can document that as skipping. So it's been a really big time saver for us and just really helpful information to have. So I hope this is useful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to help.